Okay, guys, welcome to everybody. This is going to be my Big Brother recap for week 4, y'all. Week 4 was very interesting. I guess I can start where I left off on the week 3 recap whenever I was telling y'all about who was nominated and whatnot. I had already told y'all that according to the way the house was leaning, that even though it was Hannah and Whitney on the block, that everybody was leaning towards Whitney to go home. Whitney was the target, which, y'all, it's really unfortunate. I mean, I love the cookout, so I didn't want Hannah to leave. However, I did kind of feel bad that Whitney left, because I do believe that she was going to be a fierce competitor. I think that she was going to be it. She was going to be the one to make a big move and try to actually, what's good, Houston Brad, and try to actually keep an all girls alliance together. It seems that she would have been the only one that would have went for that. So I hate that we are going to miss out on her gameplay. But either way, I'm happy that Hannah stayed. So yeah, Whitney is gone. They after Whitney was unanimously voted out of the house on Thursday night, they started the HOH competition, which I told y'all it was coming up, the wall competition. The HOH competition was a wall competition in which they were hoisted on a wall, where they actually had to keep their balance and hold on to a wall, and rain and slime and all this kind of stuff fell on them while they were up there, basically like as obstacles in order to get them to fall off. And it's funny because the one thing that I always said about me, and if I decided to apply for that show and try to go on there, I know that the wall competition would be a struggle. I also pointed out a couple of reviews ago that I thought that the wall competition was going to be a struggle for Derek F. The wall competition is just not the best competition when you are a bigger person. It's just not, because you really have to hold all of your body weight up on the wall to keep from falling off and to remain the last person up there. What I found was funny was that directly after the episode ended on Thursday, the HOH competition started. They were all on the wall. And if you do have the Big Brother live feeds, then you would have been able to go straight over to the live feeds and watch that live competition of the wall competition play out in real time. What I thought was funny, though, was that Derek F., and let me put my little overlay so that I can be showing who is who. So Derek F., if y'all see him, that's Joe Frazier's son, and he's also the bigger guy up in the house. He actually even said that he was at least happy that he was able to stay on that wall for Julie to finish reading the instructions and for the live show to end, because he really thought that as soon as he got up there, he was going to fall off. So once he knew that the live show had ended, y'all, he just went on ahead and jumped off. He jumped off, which technically he threw it. Technically he threw the competition, but at the same time, is it really throwing the competition when you truly know your limitations? That's one of the things that I said before. You always need to know your limitation when you play this game. And with him knowing his limitation, I do agree. I probably wouldn't have stayed up there on the wall knowing damn well I wasn't going to be able to win it. I knew if I had to be up there, I know damn well I'm not winning. So I probably would jump my ass up off the wall too, instead of just staying up there, just faking the phone. And also burning up energy that you could be using or retaining for the next competition. So he jumped down. He was the first one off. Little by little, everybody started falling down. The one thing, though, that was key was that Hannah was up there on the wall. And when Hannah ended up falling off the wall, like immediately after Hannah fell, then Sarah Beth fell. How obvious is that? Like, one thing that I'm learning about Sarah Beth is that she does not know how to hold her cards to the vest. Like, she is legitimately playing emotionally to a certain degree, or she's playing she's playing the game like outright to the point to where she's not really even trying to hide her feelings about Hannah. Like it's just blunt and out there. So as soon as she knew that Hannah was off the wall and Hannah was not going to win the competition, then she went on ahead and jumped down. The competition ended up lasting about an hour and 25 minutes, y'all, with everybody falling. And ultimately, um, it ended up being Derek X and Xavier as the last two people up there. Derek X and Xavier were trying to talk and make a deal, but because they were so far apart from each other on the wall, they had to yell at each other in order to make the deal. So clearly everybody in the house that was waiting on the sidelines heard what was being said, but they ended up making a deal in which Xavier agreed to go ahead and jump off the wall and give the competition to Derek X, as long as Derek X did not put up Xavier. So Xavier jumped down. Derek X won. Derek X is now the new HOH. Hannah ran and hugged Derek X. And so far, because Derek X won, I think it's going to be a safe week for the cookout. So that's good. So now about the cookout. Now, what I find interesting is, the cookout is really doing well as far as securing themselves up in this game, protecting each other, keeping each other safe, which is great. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my next slide so that we can see the progress in the game so far. If you take a look at this, anybody that is listed in black and white with the little red X down there by them, that means that they have gotten voted out. And wow, strangely enough, y'all, look at the bottom. Straight across the bottom row, you have all of the people who got taken out of here. We had Travis taken out first, then Frenchie, then Brent, and now Whitney. So they are no longer in the game. They actually got sent home, like actually sent to their houses, and they are no longer participating. Now, if we move forward, and that just lets me see that we are a quarter through the people. A quarter. We moving along, y'all. So now with this week, like I said, Derek X won the HOH, and it was time for him to actually start speaking to his allies to figure out who he wanted to put up. Now, prior to this, Derek X had already let it be known that he wanted to make a big move if he ever won HOH, and his plan was to backdoor Christian. So Derek X did have a conversation with Tiffany and with Hannah. They were actually talking about who Derek X might be wanting to nominate this week. And let's see. It's interesting because Tiffany, Derek X, and Hannah were in the HOH room talking about who should be nominated. And Tiffany, unbeknownst to her, kept dropping the name Royal Flush Alliance in front of Hannah. Now, of course, Tiffany and Derek X are a part of the Royal Flush Alliance, but Hannah is not. I think this is Tiffany's first blunder in the game. Like, she's been playing a pretty thorough game so far. But this was a blunder because she basically name dropped an alliance in front of Hannah, an alliance that Hannah is not even in. And she didn't even realize she was doing it. So after she name dropped that a few times mistakenly, she left the conversation. Hannah asked Derek X about the Royal Flush and asked who was in it. And when she was asking who was in it, he gave her the names of the kings, the queens, and himself as being a part of this alliance. She was like, oh, okay. He told her that it was a fake alliance. She said that it made sense. That's why they didn't put him up on the block. Or at least that's why Christian didn't put him up on the block last week. It made sense to her now why Derek X never went up there, because he was in the Royal Flush with them. Now, Hannah does feel a way, though, that Tiffany didn't tell her about the Royal Flush. And I guess she feels a way, too, that Derek X didn't tell her about the Royal Flush either. So She did confront Tiffany about it, but it wasn't like a hostile confrontation. It was just like, hey, why didn't you tell me about this alliance? Why didn't you tell me about this alliance? I thought that we were up in the cookout together. We shouldn't be keeping information from each other, this type of thing. And Tiffany basically was like, who told you? Who told you about the royal flush? And Hannah was like, you did. Hannah was like, you told me. And Tiffany was like, what, I did? And Hannah was like, yeah, the whole time we was up there in the HOH talking about the nominations, you mentioned the royal flush several times in front of me. So Tiffany didn't realize it. She also went and said that that it was a fake alliance and that it was created by Xavier and Christian in order to keep the Kings safe. Oh, and speaking of the Kings, at the end of Thursday night's episode, Julie Chen did reveal that the team's twist is now over and done with. So now everybody is playing individually for themselves. There is no team twist. So if somebody wins HOH, that doesn't guarantee safety for anybody else because the teams no longer exist. So let me go back to my notes. Oh, so with Derek X having the plan to backdoor Christian this week, I think it's going to be a powerful play if he can actually get that move done. Now, for the people who are new to Big Brother and are not aware of what a backdoor is, a backdoor is essentially whenever you are in HOH and it's time for you to nominate two people to go on the block, you essentially nominate two people that you really don't want to leave the game. So you nominate them as pawns. And when you nominate these two people as pawns, you essentially are gambling, rolling the dice, if you will. And when you put them up and roll the dice, your hope is that they win the power veto competition or you win the power veto competition so that you can take one of them down because they were just pawns anyway. Take one of them down and actually put your true target up there. So Derek X is hoping to win the power veto and take one of his nominees down and put Christian up there. Therefore, Christian won't even have an opportunity to fight to save himself. He will just automatically be put on that block, and hopefully the house will vote him out. That's what Derek X is hoping to happen. So if I go back to my next grid, or the grid. Okay, so as you can see, Derek X is the HOH, and then we have Sarah Beth as a nominee, and then Brittany as a nominee. We also have Alyssa, Christian, and Xavier as have-nots for the week. They are actually part of the Kings team, so yeah, they are going to be have-nots. Excuse me. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the other king, I feel like the other king is Sarah Beth, I think. But either way, Sarah Beth and Brittany are nominated. These really are pawns. Like Derek X really, I mean, he doesn't care if Sarah Beth or Brittany goes. He doesn't care one way or the other. They are pretty much expendable to him. However, he is hoping that once the power veto is played, he can either take one of them down and then put Christian up there, and then Christian will kind of be stuck up there on the block, not able to save himself, and essentially his fate will be sealed. Claire is still safe because of the wild card competition that she played last week and won. In that wild card competition that she played last week, once she won, it granted her safety for 2 weeks. So she had safety last week, and now she has safety this week, which guarantees her jury, because jury will actually start next week. And what is jury for the new people that don't know too much about Big Brother? Jury is essentially whenever you get to a certain point of the game, and when people actually get voted out, instead of them actually being sent home, they actually are sent to this mansion. Hey, Nadia. They are actually sent to a mansion and are still sequestered. And basically, they have to be sequestered until the end of the game, because those people who are being sequestered will ultimately be the ones who will vote for a winner at the end of the game. This is the reason why Big Brother is very tricky. It's a very tricky game, because when you ultimately think about it, you really have to be careful how you treat these people up in the house. You have to be careful how you make them feel, whether or not you lying to them or not, because at the end of the game, they could very well be one of the people who can vote you to win the game or vote you to not win the game. So that's that. So yeah, next week jury will start, and so the game will definitely make a couple of turns. Now, one other thing that I wanted to bring to y'all's attention about Tiffany and the game that she's playing. Tiffany is playing a good game so far. Again, I did mention to y'all that she made her first blunder of the season by mentioning the Royal Flush Alliance in front of Hannah, even though Hannah had no idea that that alliance existed, nor was she a part of it. But look at this grid that I found, y'all. This shows just how well Tiffany is playing this game. And this grid was actually produced on August 3rd. So I'm sure that there is going to be a more current grid coming out. But I don't know if y'all can see this clearly. But if you truly look at it, look at how many alliances Tiffany is truly in. Tiffany has her hand pretty much everywhere, y'all. Tiffany has this final two deal with Claire. Tiffany is up here with the black people with the cookout. Tiffany is over here with the Royal Flush Alliance. Tiffany is over here with the detectives. Tiffany is over here. What is that alliance called? Just 4 people out of the Royal Flush. Then you got Tiffany over here in the Jackpot Alliance. Tiffany down here with the Queens Alliance. Tiffany right here with a final 2 with Hannah. Tiffany right here with a final 2 with Kylan. Tiffany is all over the board, all over the grid. I understand that people don't like her gameplay to a certain degree, but you cannot tell me that she is not playing a good game, because she is legitimately all over the board. This right here truly breaks down how everybody is intertwined and working together. But if you notice, Tiffany is more present in everybody's alliance than anyone else in this grid. All of the alliances kind of center around Tiffany. Yeah, she is. She's playing very well. She's playing very well, Nadia. And I mean, a lot of the times people will try to hate or knock her for that. But no, that just shows that she has a great read on the people in the house. She has a great read on the people in the house, and she has a great social game. Not to mention, even in that HOH competition that they had on Thursday night, Tiffany was almost a winner. Tiffany almost won. I think she was like the 3rd or 4th person left up there before she fell off that wall. So she is actually proving herself to be a worthy competitor, physically competitive, as well as very smart when it comes to puzzle competitions. But then also she has the best social game in the house so far. She's not on the radar of anyone. Nobody that I've heard of is thinking about trying to get her voted out the house whatsoever. So there is that. What else did I want to touch on about what happened? Because yeah, it's really nice to see a black woman play this kind of game, because we've seen black women come on this show before, but I've not seen anybody play in this way. Nadia said, I'm not familiar with this show, but maybe it could hurt her. Folk want to get rid of her to gain that type of social game on the show. That is true. But that's one thing too, Nadia. You're not familiar with the show, girl. I think you would love this season if you had watched it, because there is an alliance called the Cookout Alliance that so far is really dominating. And I think they are going to have Tiffany's back no matter what. Normally with this show, Nadia, they typically cast it to where there are only 1 or 2 black people every season. And season after season, we've seen where the black people get voted out the house one by one at the beginning of the game. For whatever reason, though, this year, CBS decided to do something right this time. And instead of them only putting 1 or 2 black people up in the house, they stacked that house with black people. And the black people actually decided to come up with an alliance called the Cookout. So the Cookout Alliance consists of Ozza, Derek F., Hannah, Kylan, Xavier, and Tiffany. So even with Tiffany being socially like she is, the Cookout is going to have her back. That's what's helping her. Now, if I take you to this next grid, you'll see how many people have already been voted out. These 4 down here have already been voted off the show. See, no black person in sight. These black people, like you, man, Nadia, these people on code. The Cookout is on code. Like, they ain't trying to sacrifice one of their own. They not trying to get one of their own out of there. So even with Tiffany having her hand in so many different baskets, I believe that because the Cookout is on code this season and really just getting rid of the white people, which, I mean, it's a dog-eat-dog world, but they getting rid of these white people to keep themselves safe. And I believe that as long as Tiffany remains loyal to the Cookout, she should be safe up in this game. She should be safe. She should be safe. You said eating Cheerios and watching me. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that, Nadia. Yeah, I'm trying to be consistent with this. Hey, Shelly. I'm trying to be consistent with this and come at noon on Saturdays. If I can squeeze in a random Big Brother recap at any other time, I will, but I want to at least consistently come at noon on Saturdays. So yeah, whenever I was watching you earlier, that's what I was doing, getting all of my pictures and stuff loaded up while I was watching you, getting ready for me to come over here. But yes, I'm trying to think if I have any other thing that I want to point out. Oh, I do have something else that I want to point out. Okay, let's talk about Claire, y'all. Let's talk about Claire. It's interesting because, let me see what Shelly said. Shelly said, hey, Jace, I know nothing about this show, but showing my support. Let me share this out while I get ready. Oh, thank you, Shelly. I appreciate it. Nadia said, it's good content and your commentary is great because I can understand the basis of the show. Keep up with the reviews. It's dope. Thank you. I appreciate it. So let me tell you about Claire, though, which I think the whole point of Big Brother and the concept of Big Brother was to be an actual social experiment. A social experiment as far as allowing people to see how the actual real world is, but condensing it to a house. So this is the reason why you really did only have like 2 black people in past seasons where it was mostly white people, or maybe 1 gay person and then the rest straight people, because it really does mirror society. But either way, Claire is starting to catch on to the Cookout, y'all. Let me show this one. Claire is the one that has 2 weeks of safety, so she's guaranteed to make it to jury. She actually has safe right there on her picture. But Claire is the first one that is outside of the Cookout Alliance that's starting to catch on to the Cookout Alliance. She actually was on the live feeds talking to the camera, and she was dissecting it. And she was really basically saying how the people in the Cookout, they all have each other's back. But what's interesting is she was scared to put a name on it. Claire talked all around it, but she was scared to just say the black people ain't voting black people out. She was scared to say, wait a minute, these black people voting all the white people out. The black people ain't voting out black people. She was scared to actually just name it for what it is. And I think that's because if she did that, it could come off so many different ways. It could come off as her being racist and wanting the black people out. It could come out as her making it about race. It could come out about, her not wanting black people to succeed, especially when we've seen 22 other seasons of Big Brothers in which there has always been a white winner and never been a black winner. So she's really been doing all this talking where she's dissecting it, but she's just scared to really just call it what it is. Which it just goes to show how it is socially, because sometimes white people are scared to say certain things because they don't want to be viewed a certain way. Now, what Claire is thinking is absolutely the truth. What she is thinking is absolutely the truth, but she dare not say it. She dare not say it, because if she say it and they air it on CBS, there is no telling how that could be spent. There is no telling how, but it's true. The black people are protecting each other. And that's the thing, because there are enough of them in the house this season to be able to be on code and protect each other. That's what they're doing. And they said that from the beginning. The first day of this show, they came through and they said, you know, no matter what, they're going to make sure that a black person win this season, because a black person has never won. A black man has never won. A black woman has never won. No black person has ever won. Plenty of white men and white women have won, but no black person has ever. And so their goal was to form their alliance and be true to their alliance and make sure that they cover for each other to keep each other up in the game in order for somebody black to win this season. And so far, that's where it's looking like we're going. Now, Derek X is Asian. He won the head of household competition on Thursday night. But Derek X, even though he is Asian, he leans more towards the Cookout Alliance because he has a crush on Hannah. And let me put my picture back up here. So Derek X is the Asian guy on the second row. And he has a crush on Hannah, who is the black girl on the third row. He's been having a crush on Hannah since the beginning of the game. And because of his crush on Hannah, he has gravitated towards the Cookout Alliance. Even though he doesn't know outright that the alliance is called the Cookout Alliance, he does know that the people of color are helping each other. And due to his crush on Hannah and him being technically a person of color, they have slightly welcomed him into the fold, but he's still on the outside. Like, honestly, I believe that if somebody could be disposed of when it comes to the Cookout Alliance and Derek X, they would get rid of Derek X first before they got rid of one of their own. So yeah, it's crazy because many of these white contestants automatically assumed that Derek X was going to be aligned with them. You know, that whole model minority type of thing. The model minority thing that we know of from the past. I believe that they assumed that they were going to get the token Asian guy. And many of these white ladies on here really thought that they could flirt with him and get in his head in order for him to side with them, when I guess they failed to realize that he wanted him some brown sugar. And so he is really into Hannah. He just won the HOH. Hannah is completely safe. And because Hannah has Derek X's ear, Hannah is making sure that none of these black people get put on the block. Hence why, when it was time for him to nominate, he did nominate Sarah Beth and Brittany. So currently, Sarah Beth and Brittany are on the block. Today will be the Power of Veto competition, y'all. And in this Power of Veto competition, Sarah Beth, Brittany, Derek X, and probably 2 or 3 other house guests will play in the Power of Veto competition in order to win safety this week. Derek X plans to, I think he hopes to win it in order for him to take either Sarah Beth or Brittany off the block. And then he plans to replace one of them with Christian so that he could backdoor Christian and send Christian out the house. At this particular point, Derek X and Christian seem to be highly competitive with each other. Both of them have won the same amount of competitions within the game. So both of them are somewhat threatened by each other. So that's the reason why they have this type of rivalry going on. And Derek X is wanting to get Christian before Christian can get him out the house. So that's the plan for today. We will see how the Power of Veto competition goes today. Last week when I did my recap on this last week, the Power Veto competition had already been played by this point. But that's not the case today. So I don't know what type of competition it's going to be, but they haven't played that competition yet. So once I know more about how that Power Veto competition is going to and then I'll be able to tell y'all what's what. But at this point, the plan for the week is to backdoor Christian. I will continue to keep my eyes on the Big Brother live feed so that I can keep getting spoilers for y'all. I will also keep taking a look at the blogs. I also look at Twitter. There are a few other YouTubers that cover Big Brother that I look at to see what they think about the game, and I will just go from there. If there was something up groundbreaking or something that I just really need to come here and share with y'all, I will definitely come and share it. But for the most part, I'm just trying to find consistency. And I'm actually happy that I am somewhat finding consistency to come today at noon. Thank you, Nadia, for dropping in. Thank you, Houston Bread, for dropping in. Thank you, Shelly, for dropping in. Thank you for the people that shared it. Like the video if you can. Nadia said, can't trust no one named Sarah Beth. Girl, and you know something? Sarah Beth cannot stand Hannah. She can't stand Hannah. She wanted Hannah to go home last week. And the cookout wasn't having it. When I tell you the cookout was standing up in the paint, and like that's the thing, you kind of have to do it. You kind of have to do it subtly. You cannot just be like, no, we don't want Hannah to go home because she's black. You can't do it. It's just like, I'll put it like this, Nadia. If me and you were playing the game and people were wanting to get you nominated and get you out the house, I would essentially have to go to them and be like, no, y'all don't want Nadia out the house. Nadia is she's very smart and she's an ally, or she's very strategic. But I honestly think your biggest threat in this game is so and so and so and so and so. Your biggest threat, oh, I know. You don't want to take Nadia out the game. Yes, her soaps are lovely. Her bath products are lovely. But no, who you really need to be trying to get out the game is Dove. Don't go after Nadia and her company. No, you need to get out Dove, because at the end of the day, when you look at your biggest competition and the biggest threat, who's going to be able to come after you? Don't touch Nadia. Go after Dove. Nadia. I mean, but look, when Hannah's ass was on the line last week, everybody individually in their own little way was just trying to move it, like move that target. Instead of you looking at Hannah, no, I'm going to tell you who you need to look at, and it's going to be a white person that I'm telling you to go look at. No, don't look at Hannah. Go look at this one over here. Go look at that one and get her out. And lo and behold, it worked. It worked, Nadia, because Hannah ended up being able to stay, and they ended up voting out a white lady named Whitney. Go after Dove. See, that's, you know, I got you. If we was up in the game, I'd be like, yeah, she on her own soap business. So if you don't go after them people that has Dove, that's your competition right there. You need to worry about them. Don't worry about Nadia. Let Nadia live. But yeah, y'all. So thank you for joining me, Nadia. You should definitely check out this season of Big Brother. I think you would like it. It's really interesting to look at the social aspect of it and really see how this season race is really playing a part. And to be honest, if you look at this house the way it is, it's really essentially like a race war going on, with the White House guests on this side and the Cookout Alliance, which are the Black House guests, on the other side. Which, leave it to us black folks to name our alliance the Cookout. Leave it to us black folks to name it like that, the Cookout. But so yeah, you got the White House guests over here, you got the Black House guests over here. It's all about seeing who is going to be the most physically fit to win challenges, the most mentally fit to win puzzle challenges, win competitions, but also the most social in order to be able to keep everybody in the line safe. So I think you would enjoy it. But yeah, either way, y'all, let me get off here. Thank y'all for joining me. Y'all take care. Be blessed. Don't stress. I'll see y'all on the next one. And see y'all up in the streets. Oh, yeah. I got to play my music before I go out. Please like the video. Please share the video. Please do a comment. Oh, Bright Star. I'm sorry. I'm finished. I just finished it up, Bright Star. Hopefully you can catch the replay. Thank you for coming through, Bright Star. You always support. I appreciate it. All right, y'all. Bye.